Good afternoon. I'm Virginia Killmore and welcome to my studio. Today's card will feature a sunrise in the spring. I love the colors and you're going to get to see 3 of our new in colors. So let's get started. Doesn't that look like a sunrise in the spring? I've been enjoying all these wonderful sunrises we've been getting lately, though I don't always wake up for them. I get up and then go back to bed. So let me first of all show you the new in colors. These are the new in colors. This is Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, and Polished Pink. And they make a great sunrise. We started with Pale Papaya right here, went to Polished Pink and Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to be using my blending brushes today to do that. So hopefully you'll enjoy the process. I think I actually only need 2 of them. I realized I pulled out an orange one. And I think I'm going to work with just these 2. So to get started, and I also will be sharing with you these new in color gems. It's one of the great features of being a demo. You get to use things ahead of time. I did use 2 stamp sets. Both of these will be on sale shortly. This one I used a sentiment out of here. This is a great go-to stamp set. And this set I have used many times. I hopefully will remember to show you all the cards I've done in probably the last year or 2 with a set. This set comes with cutters that you can cut pieces out or just use what's right there. So to do this card, we had to first of all create this background. And that's the part that we start out with using this little template that we used last week. It has a little bit of sticky. I know Janine wanted to know how it was made, so I was going to re-show it. But basically, I take a piece of cardstock that I folded in half, just like you would a 11 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock, folded in half, and then I put it in my paper cutter and I measure a distance that I want. I think this was 3/4, and then I just cut it out. It's pretty easy once you have the line set up on here. You can use a ruler. I have these great see-through rulers that make it super easy. You can just create an edge, you know, like this and cut through. And I keep these. I don't throw these away because I use them over and over. In fact, I'm going to show you a card that's very similar when we're done. And I put a little bit of our glue in there that's green. I don't know if you know that, but our green glue is semi-permanent when it's dry. So I just let it get tacky, and it's great because it holds my cardstock in there. So I've cut this piece down. I think it's 3 3/4. So what I want to do is really make sure I center it here, looking at these edges, because then my rectangle will be where I want. I just want to make sure it doesn't move. So I really push that down. And then I'm going to put my colors in order because I have a tendency to forget what I'm doing and then use the wrong color. So I'm going to start with my yellow brush. Even though this has a little bit of orange in it, I'm going to start with my yellow brush. A lot of people will take and pounce their first couple pounces there, just so that you don't get a really dark start to the whole process, or you don't get like a too strong of a color. I kind of always have had confidence in it, and I like it if it's not perfect because it gives sort of a misty feel to it. But it just depends on what you like. If you're worried about being too dark to begin with, pounce it right here and you'll get some of the color off. You can see I'm sort of slowly building, and I'm working into what I consider the polished pink area because that's going to blend a little bit as well. And the last part here is I'm just trying to get that nice crisp edge here at the bottom. You can also do this with brayering, but I love our new sponges. If you haven't gotten them, they're wonderful. And don't forget, if you order the sponges, you get a free set of markers. See these little markers that I have on my sponges? I think it's easier to see on the yellow one. I made them with my 3D printer. So I give them away to people who order sponges through me. So if you want to use this code and help a hostess this month and order those brushes, I will send that to you. So I'm putting in my polished pink now, and I am working into the pale papaya. It's interesting to me because I actually thought I used orange as the next color because of the way this came out, but it's because the colors mix a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing, work my way up into what I consider the fresh Freesia. Okay. And now I am going to go to the fresh Freesia, which I'm going to use the same brush. A lot of people ask me, should I clean my brush? No. This is the only extent of what I do to clean my brush. I don't wash it. I don't know why I'm afraid to wash it. Heard people say they do that, but I don't want to wash it every time, and I don't mind that there's a little bit of color in there. As long as it's coming off clean, it'll be fine. So this is the fresh Freesia, which is actually a little bit lighter than the polished pink. So it's a little, you have to push a little harder to get that color to appear. But I'm always careful in the beginning because you never know how wet your pad is. That sort of takes off a little color. But I like to concentrate my darkest values in the corners and along the top edge because that describes the edge of my picture plane. Okay, so now I have a nice little sunrise. Remember those drinks from the 80s, the tequila sunrise? That's what that reminds me of. And you've got to see the new in colors. So I'm going to actually show you some via paper. So this is the polished pink, and this is the fresh papaya. And I am going to go ahead and adhere this to my cardstock. Where's my bone folder? Right here. Looks like I didn't do a good job folding this. I'm going to refold it. This is the other reason why I love it. If you accidentally get it wrong, you can refold using that folder. And that's just going to get glued on here. And then I'm going to glue this and that piece together. But first I am going to stamp my background. So I am going to take my memento and I am going to ink my stamp set. And I think the hardest part about this card is making sure you get enough ink and you get one shot at it. I guess I could use my Stamparatus. But I think if you're just careful and make sure you got enough ink, you should be fine. See how I'm checking to see that it's shiny everywhere. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, let's see if I'm happy. I'm going to go ahead and line it up, pick the spot, and just go for it. Now, I'm going to leave it on for an extra second or two to make sure it really goes through. You want to give the ink a little time to marinate or ink get all over. And that worked out really good. I had no problem. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and anchor this to here. Now, I don't know if you notice how tiny the border is. That's done intentionally. I like it. Sometimes I like thick borders and sometimes I like thin borders. Okay, I want to be very careful before I rub that. Make sure it's dry. Okay, so now all that's left to do is get our new ribbon on it, which I have a piece right here, the pale papaya. I'm just going to cut that and run it across. So I will take my tape runner, I think I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Yeah, that's much nicer. Okay, so I'm going to use dimensionals now, and I happen to have a pile of old dimensionals sitting around from an old paper pumpkin. This is something I like to do sometimes, is just use up old stuff. I hate wasting. So I'm going to put, and these are extra big. They're bigger than normal. They lift much higher. I think they were designed for a shaker card, so they're a little bit too much, but I still like them. I like how it lifts off. Okay, one more piece we need. And I have one right here. Notice how I'm anchoring my ribbon there. So this has to be right the first time we get it on here. First of all, I need to make sure I've got my card set the way I want it, and I'm going to line everything up. Because once we let it go, it usually sort of sticks. I mean, we can move a little bit, but there. It's got sort of a feel of a picture frame. It looks like I messed up that. Let's see if my little magic eraser that I always tell you about works for this. Can you see that little black piece? I must have accidentally stamped on it or touched it. Let's see how much of it I can get off without damaging the card. It's coming off, but it does look like it's taking off a lot of the color. Actually, it doesn't. It is better. It must be that I touched it with a stamp when it was sitting there. Okay, I'll show you now so you can see. It usually works really good on white, but I don't think it's as good on colored paper. Okay, so let's get to the sentiment. The sentiment's pretty straightforward. It is, I'm going to use the polished pink ink on a scrap piece of the papaya paper. Looks like this got moved. Oops. Dropped it right on my lap. So I might want to re-ink it. I'm just going to center that on there. Okay, and trim it. Looks like I might have a little bit bigger piece. Oh, you know what I did? I used the classic label die. I think I'm going to use that because I really do like that. That die is retiring. Not die, that punch. So I'm going to stamp it again on another scrap piece of paper because it'll be easier once I have it cut. I need a bigger piece to work with. Okay, so what's nice about this is I'm going to get this end nice and straight and lined up the way I want it. See how I have this end nice and straight? And now I'm going to take and place this in here. That's what I have to do. I have to get it to come out there. Well, maybe I can do it this way. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this up so that I'm only cutting this end. I'm not cutting that end. You see how I have that in there? Just made that. Forgot I had done that. Always like to close my ink pads because you never know. Okay, so now I'm going to use a tiny dimensional on either end. And I'm just going to lay that right there. It's a really nice little happy birthday card for a good friend. And the last thing are these pretty little jewels that are the in-color jewels. I'm going to take 2 of the pink, polished pink ones. I must have used up all the fresh papaya ones because I don't see any in there. Oh, I did. I made some cards. So before we go, I'm going to show you some more of these cards, and I said that because I want to remember. I do have some other samples of these cards. So this card looks a lot like the one we did today, though I stamped the trees in the same color background. The what is that? It's a very dark purple, and of course I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me when I stop thinking. This one I did a lot of blending and daubering to create the opposite of what we did on Monday. Remember the spotlight technique? This is the spotlighted area, but it's different because usually this should be the dark. I did all the darkness back here. This is another card I did for a swap. Did it a while back, and it's just a watercolor wash. And then this one is done with the trees from the set. You see these right here? I stamped them across this piece of paper to create that, and then just created a series of textures and pretty things with it. The sequins, I just love the set. I've used it, I think I've had it for 2.5 years, and I've used it quite a bit. I did make it a Christmas card at one point, so I hope you have enjoyed all the cards I shared with you today. And if you like today's card, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel or share it with your friends. And I hope you come back to see more tips, techniques, and inspiration on another day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.